So we are having these variables. These variables will become variables. Why?
That comma. First thing is the comma. Dim, no, where you declare not that comma. This comma.
This one.
That is the first error. Second error is you don't have a PNT start. You have the PNT end, but you don't have the PNT start. So what you have to do is type PNT start, comma PNT end after D, because you have not declared the two variables. That's it. You have declared PNT end, but you have not declared the start. So you can do it together. PNT start, comma PNT end.
Start.
Now that should be. And for the issue of the BLN start, that is this one, uncommitted. Right.
How your name? Breaking your name. Please. मोटा तो मारो वाला पूरी देखकर मार करेगी आप फिर उमर कोड़ लगा
Right. Some of you might be still having some errors, but I'm going to continue with the database connectivity. If you can practice this, and if you have any separate set of classes called ADO.NET. ADO means active data objects. Right? Now this active data objects is a set of classes which helps you to establish a connection between your .NET interfaces and a database. It can be Access database, or it can be a SQL Server database, or an Oracle database, or whatever. Now to establish this connectivity, there's a set of classes inside this ADO.NET, and we are going to discuss about those two classes now. Those set of classes now. Now in this ADO.NET set of classes, there are two different sets. One set is for Microsoft SQL Server. Now, since you are not going to work with SQL Server here, this set of classes is not important for you at all, right? So that is basically for the SQL Server data. Since you are going to use the Microsoft Access, what is important for you is this OLEDB. You can simply say OLEDB. These OLEDB classes are the classes that you are going to work with, right? So this SQL Server specific classes and the rest is OLEDB. Okay. Now we are going to work with this OLEDB set of classes. Now the first type of class that we are going to discuss about is the connection class. Now it has in this ADO.NET classes, it has two types of connection. One is SQL connection and the other one is OLEDB connection. This SQL connection is for SQL Server, so you don't have to worry about it. But OLEDB connection is for Microsoft Access. So we are going to use this OLEDB connection class to establish a connection between Microsoft Access and your application. So to establish the connection, you have this thing called connection string. This connection string says provider equal Microsoft.get.oledb.4.0. That is the class that we are going to use to provide this connection string. Now you can think of this connection string as the string that links your applications to the database. This is the connection string. Using this connection string, you connect your database with your application. Now in the connection string, you mention to the provider of this connection string, that is OLEDB 4.0, and the data source. This is very important. You have to mention the data source in the connection string. Now in this connection string, now this is your database. You mention what is your data source. So when you say data source, it is the database name together with the path to the data source plus the data source name, right? That is, those two are the basic components of this connection string. Now this connection, already the connection, is not always open. Now the speciality in this already connection is you open the connection only when it is necessary. You don't keep now these two applications are separate, and it is not that you have a connection string which ties the two applications together always. It's not the case. You open the connection whenever you require to access some data, and when you don't want, you close the connection. Right? For example, you open the connection when the form loads. Right? Then once the form is closed, your connection is gone. Right? So this OLEDB connection is connection oriented. It can be opened and closed depending on your requirement. Then it has two methods. Open method means if you open the connection between the database and your application. When you say close, it closes your connection to the database. Now, as the first step to connect your application to the database, you need to specify to the application from where it has to take this set of OLEDB classes. Now, for that you use this import statement. Go to the very top of your code line, even before the class statement, before everything, you have to type imports system dot data dot OLED. By specifying this at the very top, even before the class statement, what you say is to tell the compiler that I am going to take some classes from this library. You import the classes from system.data.OLED. As I said before, OLED has the set of classes to establish a connection between how to access data from a database. You tell the compiler by this line that I am going to import classes from this library. Okay? Then, as the second step, you have to create a class level object of OLED connection. That is, you write in cn, this prefix, I have given the name as cn map. This prefix here, as I mentioned always, is to tell you what kind of a variable this is. Now, you are going to create a variable here. By using this prefix for the name of the variable, you can indicate that this variable is a connection. You say cn map. Cn stands for connection, like txt stands for text box, and frn for form, and so on. Right? So, as the second step, you have declare a variable of connection type called cnmap as a new OLED connection. I show you the things on my editor. Now, this is the very top of my code editor. Uh, Even before this public class statement, I have to import system.data.OLED. You don't have to type all these things. Once you type system and press a dot, you can get a list. From there, you can select data. Then once again you press a dot, then you get OLED there, and you can select from the list. That is your first line. And then you have to establish a connection. Cn map as new OLED connection. By this statement, you have now created a new variable called connection. Now, once you have created this variable, or you have instantiated this variable, you can use all its methods and data. Right. Now, there is the first thing that you have to do. Then, now, as I said before, the first record of the table has to be displayed when the form loads. Right? When the form loads, that is when your application runs, when you click the run button, your form gets loaded. Once it loads, the first record's data has to be displayed in the respective locations on the form. So, I can show you how it runs. Now, this is my code editor. Now, I am going to click this start button here. Now, my form got loaded. You can see this data is automatically here. The first record's data 78, 97, 115, 150. The data of that database has now automatically filled here. Right? Now, this is what we have to do. So, when we are writing this code, then we write for the form load event, because this should happen when the form loads. Right? So, you go to the form's load event, and you establish a connection in the load event. Now you have to establish the connection when the form loads in order to get data from the database. To establish the connection, now you have this variable called cnmap created as a ODB connection. You use its connection string property. As I said before, it is the string that links you and your database when the form loads. Then for the connection string, make equal to provider equal Microsoft.get.odb.4.0. That is the provider of this connection string. This is actually by default, this is going to be, so it's not going to change. It's a constant. Then you have a semicolon. For the data source, you have this within inverted commas, you write this unsigned and this underscore is just to take the things into the next line. So you can remove this also. You write application.startup path. Now the reason to use this is, as I told before, you created your database in the bin/debug. Right? You went to the same location where you saved your pb.net project. Inside that you had a bin folder. Inside bin folder you had debug. Inside debug you created your database. Now that is the application startup path. Right? So you say applications.startup path and then you put a slash here and say map.md. Because in the startup path you have this file. If you didn't save it there but you saved it somewhere else, let's say in your pen drive or in a D drive or C drive, then instead of this application startup path, you have to specifically mention data source equal. You have to say data source equal within inverted commas. You have to give the full path. Say C:\/ your name // somewhere where you save your file. Both ways okay, but in this case I have used this application.startup path because I have kept the file in the same location. And once you have written this, you say cnmap.open. Without this open line, this connection will not be open. Now once this line is executed only, this connection will be established to the database. Right? Any questions up to that point? Now you have to understand the reason for using these statements for you to write for the final exam, right? Now you can of course type these things as it is and get the application running, but for you to write for the exam, you have to understand the reason for using these things. So you open the connection after you specify the connection string. Now once the program executes this line, now this connection string is created. Then for the program to display some data, now in your database you have a table here, right? In typical databases you will be having more than one table. A large set of tables will be there in this access database or whatever the database. So for this program to work with this connection, what it does is it brings the data in this table into some kind of intermediate table. It's again a table, but it's not the same table, but it is a intermediate table which is in the memory, the random access memory of the computer. It loads the data in the database to the RAM. Right? So this the exactly same data that you are going to require from these tables, but that will be saved to an intermediate space allocated in the RAM. Now this is your hard drive. Database is in your hard drive or whatever the secondary storage. This is the primary memory. So this data is loaded into the primary memory first. Now that is done by the command. Yes. Now, have you studied SQL, structured query language? Now, you need that language to access data from a database, right? Say you have a table called points. If you want all data of this points table, you say select star from points. Okay. Now, say in this case you want all data from the points table. So what you do is using this command class, SQL command class, you run this query on this table and then it returns everything in this table and get that content into this intermediate memory space in the run. Right? So a same file, a similar table would be created in this RAM because you get everything. A similar table to the points table would be created here. Right? Now that is the objective of command. You execute a command on the database and get some data returned to an intermediate location. Now this intermediate location is called a data set. Right? The command that we use to get data to this data set is called the command text. Right? The command text is a property of this SQL command class. Sorry, OLDB command class. Now SQL command, as I said, now don't get confused with this. This is for the SQL server. This is for access and the others. So this command text is a part of is a member of OLDB command class, and it has a connection property. It is going to be our previously established connection. It has a command text property which has the SQL query that we are going to pass to the database, and the return data from as a result of this SQL command would be loaded to an intermediate location in the primary memory, the RAM, which is called a data set. And actually what we are doing is we get data loaded to the data set, and from the data set we get the data loaded to our interface. This is the functionality. Then data adapter is actually a class used to transfer records between the data source and the data set. Now, in order to transfer this data in the primary memory, the table in the primary memory, sorry, the secondary memory to the primary memory, it is the data set. This transfer is done through another class called data adapter. So the data adapter helps transferring data from the data source to this data set. Okay. Right. Now let's see. So this is about the data set. Let's see how it works. Now we are going back to coding. Do you understand that functionality? If you have any questions, you can ask for this function. Now we are going to implement this functionality using our code. Now the first thing is we have to create this data set, right? Now in the code we have to create our data set. So you go to the class level at this very top and declare a new variable like dim ds points as new data set. Now again you can see the prefix ds points. This ds is the prefix. It says it's a data set. Data set. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a best practice of programming just for you to recognize that it is a data set. So you go to the class level and write this line, and then you create the sub procedure, the function, not a function, a procedure called fill data set. Now objective is, now we have created this data set called ds points. Let's say this is it, this ds points. Our objective is to get this data set filled with the required data from our data source. That is the objective. Now to do that, we write the procedure. In the procedure, you write dim cmsql as new OLEDB command. Now that is the command that we are going to run on this database. Then you need another variable dim and m as new OLEDB data adapter. Now data adapter, as I said before, is required to get this data in the source to this intermediate data set. We are going to get that through this data adapter. To do that, we need the command to be run on this. So you need those two things in your procedure. Then for the commands, cmsql means the command. For the command's connection is cnmap. We created this before. The connection. Now we have established the connection. For this command, we set the connection of the command as our connection there. cnmap. Then command text, that is the SQL query that we are going to run on this data source, is written here. Let's start from points. That is this command text, right? Now this command looks for a connection, and now it is given as cnmap, which we created before. Then it looks for a command text, that is for a SQL query to be run on the database. Now it is given here. Then the data adapter has a property called select command. That is, data adapter, when trying to build this data, get this data from source to the data set, it looks for a command. Then there's a property for us to say what the command that it has to use. So select command is set to cmsql. That is this. Then ds points dot clear. Clear is a method for a data set. That is, since it is in the memory, if there are any existing records at the moment, before you fill any data to that, you have to clear whatever things existing in that already. So this clear method clears the data set before it gets filled. And then using the adapter has a method called fill. Adapter's fill method takes this data set and it executes this command on the database, and the return data would be filled into this data set. Once these 5 lines are executed, this command text would be executed on the source, and the return data would be get filled into the data set. That is the idea. If there are any questions about this, you can. Now if you go to in my code, I have this cnmap here. On the very top, I have this cnmap as already the connection. Then ds points as a new data set. These two are global because we can use them throughout our applications. Then the subprocedure is written. The field data set. This is the code line that I explained to you so far. So it's written on the body as a subprocedure. Now you have already established the connection. You have filled everything in the points table to this intermediate data set table. The next thing that you are going to do is show a current record, let's say the first record, when the form loads. Right? Now to show the record, we are going to write a new procedure. This is to show the records. Now it has a condition here, if condition. If ds points dot tables 0 dot rows dot count greater than 0. The idea here is now this might be having so many tables or one table. If it has many tables, the tables would be indexed from 0, 1, 2 and so on. So if it has only one table, it will be table 0. It has two tables means the two tables would be indexed as one as 0 and the other one as 1. So in this case we have only one table, so we know it is going to be the table 0. So in the data set, from the table you take the 0th table, that is the one and only table, and take its rows and take the count of the rows. If the count of the rows, you have this table, if the row count is 0, that means you have no records. No records to display. Right? If it doesn't have any records, you have to display everything as 0. Otherwise, you have to display the values in each row in the respective locations on your interface. So the first thing we check is whether the table has one or more records. That is checked by this line. Whether the row count is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, that means we have at least one record there. Then you get a variable called each ID. You take the data, the nth row. Now it might be having so many rows. You have a variable called n to control, to determine which row you are referring to. Right? So you say in the nth row, take the item ID. Because ID would be added to this each ID variable. Then txt start text means on your interface you have text boxes. Start x, start y, end x, end y. Right? You take you take the each item on the record. There is ds points, 0th table, end row, item, start x. You get that value and assign it to the text of the text. Likewise, you take all 4 items in the given row. Like if this is a record, this nth record, you have these 5 elements. This ID is start x, start y, end x, and y. You have a variable called int id, and you assign this value to that variable. Then start x would be assigned to this, start y would be assigned to this, end x here, end y. Now that is done in this way. Then otherwise, if it doesn't have any records, you set everything to 0. And then you refresh this picture box. With this refresh method, what happens is your main event that you invoked before could be executed. When you say refresh, the line will be drawn between these two lines, these 2 points. So now the question is, what is this n? So far we didn't discuss anything about this n. This n is actually a class level variable which tells us whether it is the first record or the last record or intermediate record. So it helps us to navigate between the records on the data. So you got to declare this n as a class level variable at the very beginning of the code system. So this is it. If ds points the table 0.rows.count greater than 0, that means it has one or more records. This determines whether the first table is empty. If it is greater than 0, it is not empty. If it is less equal 0, then it is empty. ds points the table 0.rows within bracket n means this gives the n plus 1 record of the first table in the data set. Now, since we have only one table, it is the table that we are referring to. When you say row n, that means n plus 1. If you say rows 0, that means first record. If you say rows 1, that is second record. And so on. So let's now for the form load event, we so far wrote only this up to this point. You created the connection and then you opened the connection. And then you wrote fill dataset sub procedure, that is a sub procedure to get that intermediate dataset field. You wrote that. Then you have to specify that in the form load. You have to add this to the end of the form load event to the dataset procedure. If you call that procedure, then you can close the connection, because now you open the connection, got the data field, now you can close the connection. So once you close the connection between the database and the application will be known. Then you can specify n as n equals ds points dot table 0 dot rows dot count minus 1. That is, in our case, this line says how many records, how many rows are there in the first table denoted by table 0 in our data set. Then if we get that as true, to get our first record, for the last record we have minus 1. Right? So we determine n using this line. That is, this n first we count the rows, In our table we have only 2 rows, so we get 2. We assign n as 2 minus 1, that is 1. Right? So we know that the number of rows goes from 0, 0, 1. So by this we get the last record. If we had 3 records there, n would be set to 2. Because we have 3 records means we have 0 record, first record and the second record. So we always get the last record by setting n to number of rows minus 1. Then we are going to display in this case the last record, not the first record. Since n is set to the last value, once we call the show record after this, the record that we are going to be display is the last record. Now this is the second procedure, sub procedure we do. Once you execute this, the last record would be this. So what you have to do to display things so far is you have to first declare n. You have to first declare n as an integer, and then you have to write this form load event like this. Inside the form load event, you have to establish the connection, open the connection. This is the sub procedure you wrote, and then you have to call that sub procedure. Then close the connection. Determine n, that is the total number of records minus 1, and then call the show record procedure that you wrote. And you have to write those two as well. This is the field data set sub procedure. This is the show record sub procedure. Right? These are the things that you are supposed to do in order to get this code. Then, for you to let practice, I am going to explain the things that we are supposed to do here. The next thing that we are going to do is now in your interface you have 4 buttons. First, last, next, previous. Right? Now suppose this is your data set and it has 2 records now. This is the first record, this is the second record. Now in our previous method, we set n to 1. That is, we refer to this last record. Right? So it's like now n is pointing at this record. Okay? Now, if you want to show the first record, that is, you have to point to the first record. So, to show the first record, what you have to do is, you have to set n to 0. If there are 1 or more records, you have to set n to 0 and then call the show record procedure. Because n is a global variable, once you set it to 0 and call the show record procedure, it will automatically point to the first record and the data of the first record would be this. If n is the last, that of course you can get to know. You have to say n equal data set, so ds points dot tables 0 dot rows dot count. This will tell you how many rows are there in the data set, and you minus 1 to make the index of the last record. So in this case, n will be set to 1 from this line. And then once you want to move to the last record, you have to set n to this value. You have to set n to this value and then call the show record procedure. First and last have no issues. For next and previous, now you have an issue. The reason is, suppose let's talk about next. Suppose this is pointing at the last record now. Always when you want to display the next record, what you have to do is set n equal n plus 1. Advance n by 1. The issue is, if it is in the last record, now if you execute this statement, this will be pointing at a null value because it doesn't have any record after it. Then it will give you an error. So what you have to do in this case is, you have to check whether you are in the end of file, whether you are in the last record. So you know that the total number of records that the table is having, you can get that total and minus 1. Check whether the current n, if n equals this value, PS points, table 0, rows will count minus 1. If n is this value, then that means you can't advance it further. Right? If it is less than this value, you can say n equals n plus 1 and then show it. When it comes to previous, if you want to display the previous record, what you have to do is you have to set n to n minus 1. Right? But if n was pointing at the first record already, then if you minus 1 or deduct 1 from that value, again it will be pointed at nowhere. So you have to first check whether n minus 1 less than 0. Right? If n minus 1 greater than greater than or equal 0 only, you can say n equals n minus 1, show record. This will display the previous record. Right? So I'm going to show you how it has been written. Okay. This is the begin first. When you click this first button, the first record of the database or the table has to be displayed. Now for that, n is the controller. The controller that takes you, navigates you through the records, the line. You set n to 0. That is, you make the reference to the first record, and then you call the show record procedure. Right? Then the first record's data would be displayed. When you click the last button, n will be set to ds points tables 0 dot rows dot count, that is the total number of rows, minus 1, and then the records will be displayed. That is, once you do that, the reference would be set to the last. If it is previous, you have to check whether n greater than 0. If n is greater than 0 only, you can deduct 1 by n from n, because otherwise n will be pointing at nowhere. Then if it is greater than 0, you deduct 1 from n and then show the record. When you click next, you have to check whether n is less than the total number of rows minus 1. If this is true only, you can add 1 to n and then show the record. So now these 4 segments will help you to work with these 4. Right? You can try these things. I'm going to stop the class around 1:30. Are you hungry? Shall we continue? Then you can do the practical. So just try to do something with what I am saying so far and ask me questions. You can do your practical. Now the first thing you have to do is go to your handout. First thing you have to do is to import this on the very top and then create this variable at the class level. Then inside your form load event, write this set of codes. Then write this sub procedure, private sub, fill data set, end sub. This is a sub procedure, you have to type it everything. Right? Including this private sub, end sub, you have to type it. Right? Create this sub procedure. Then update your forms load event with this failure. Then create this sub procedure. Here you have type. Once you have done that, you can get the data display from your database. Then for you to navigate to the buttons, you have to write code for the click event of each button. Now these codes will tell you what to write in each button. For example, for the first button, you have to write this. For the last button, you have to write this button. And for the previous button, you have to write this. And for the next button, you have to write this. Right? So this is how you are supposed to do it. Just start it, then you can at least ask something if it is complete. I'll give you around 20 minutes to play around with it and you will. In this case, we have only one. Now, practically, it's a SQL statement. So, in SQL statements are just multiple different. So when you set the command takes of a data set and fill the data set with the command. So I have never come across any situation where you have multiple tables. But just to give the freedom, I guess they have provided the series. Right? So that is the best answer I can give you at the moment. Because you can join so many tables, but still the result is in one table.
Command SQL, command SQL. Data. Iya. 啊，对呀，啊，是， Iya.
Arsenal, have you finished it? Did you type these things? No. Yes, after this one, inserting your records. Enabling and disabling buttons, okay? After inserting your records. I did not type this button. What? What is? After I in line nine was translated in the text history. After that, I type button. I type all up to here. I type all the then first we check the errors and display the line. So, first error is DS files.
What's this?
Adapt.
Adapt. No, no, no. Yeah, run and see. It's already running. It's already running. Sure. Can you go to your editor? Can't be nuts.